Today we are in Tamil Nadu and behind us is the magnificent Arunachalesvara Temple. And this is one of the most revered temples dedicated to God Shiva, and it is one of the 5 Panchabootha Stala temples. This temple is particularly related to Agni or fire, and the Shiva Lingam here is known as Agni Lingam.
The name Arunachala itself means hill of red fire, with Aruna meaning red and Achala meaning mountain.
So now let's go to the temple.
This place is bustling with fascinating stories, divine energy, and centuries of history. This vast temple complex covers over 25 acres and it's known for its massive entrance towers or Gopurams, beautiful sculptures, and stunning architecture. There is a fascinating history of this temple. God Vishnu and God Brahma once argued over who was supreme. To teach them a lesson, God Shiva appeared as a massive pillar of fire known as Agni Lingam and challenged them to find its beginning or end. God Vishnu transformed into a boar and dug deep into the earth, while God Brahma took the form of a swan and flew upwards. After searching far and wide, neither could find the limits of the Agni Lingam and finally accepted God Shiva's supremacy. This pillar of fire then became the Arunachala hill, which is now seen as a direct form of God Shiva himself. At the request of God Brahma, God Vishnu and other devotees, God Shiva then created a lingam here for ritualistic worship. And this is the exact lingam we see in the main temple today, worshipped by millions over the centuries. Over time, this sacred place has attracted many saints and sages, including Gautama Rishi, Tirujnana and most famously Sri Ramana Maharshi, who meditated here inspired by the powerful spiritual energy of Arunachala. It's believed that walking around the hill or doing Giri Pradakshina is like walking around God Shiva himself. The temple is known for its towering Gopurams or gateway towers. There are 9 in total, with 4 outer Gopurams and 5 inner ones.
The first and the main Gopuram is the Raja Gopuram, also known as the Eastern Gopuram. Construction of this grand Gopuram was started by Krishnadevaraya of Vijayanagara Empire in 1516 CE and completed by Sevappa Naik.
Standing at a towering 217 feet, it's covered in intricate carvings that tell countless stories.
Now we are walking from the Raja Gopuram to the second Tiruvannamalai Gopuram. And we are walking through the Car Street. The street is called Car Street, and right next to it is the main wall of the temple, and over that you can see Nandiji Murtis are carved. Now we have reached the second Gopuram. It's called the Tiruvannamalai Gopuram or the Southern Gopuram. Tiruvannamalai means ritual holy bath or abhishekam.
Through this gate, holy water is poured for the deity's rituals in the inner sanctum.
The third Gopuram is called the Pei Gopuram. Pei means ghost in Tamil, but don't worry, there is no connection with the ghost with this tower.
It was originally called Periya Gopuram, meaning large Gopuram, before the other towers were built. Over time, the name was shortened to Pei Gopuram.
This tower is partially damaged, so devotees cannot enter through this gateway. And finally, we have Ammani Gopuram, the 4th outer wall Gopuram. Interestingly, this Gopuram was not built by a king. It was built by a woman called Ammani.
She was deeply devoted to God Shiva and left her village to live in Tiruvannamalai, dedicating her life to worship. One day, she noticed that the northern Gopuram of the temple was incomplete, so she decided to take on the task herself. Ammani began gathering donations from the people of Tiruvannamalai and managed to fund to the construction of the Gopuram. When she ran out of money, she paid the workers with sacred ash or vibhuti, and they accepted it out of respect for her devotion.
The current structure of this temple is over 1300 years old, with contributions from various dynasties like Cholas, Pandyas, Hoysalas and Vijayanagara Empire.
So let's enter through the main Gopuram and start our journey.
As we enter, on our left we see the beautiful Kambattu Ilanganaar Murugan temple dedicated to God Muruga or Subramanya, the son of God Shiva and Goddess Parvati.
According to the temple history, during the reign of the king Prabhuddha Deva Maharaja in Tiruvannamalai, a man named Sambadandan, who was jealous of Saint Arunagirinath's popularity, challenged him to prove his devotion by calling God Muruga. In response, Arunagirinathar sang a devotional song, and amazingly, God Muruga appeared from within a pillar. Because of this, Muruga Bhagwan in this temple is known as Kambattu Ilanganaar, meaning Muruga of the pillar.
Behind this temple is a mandapa called Valekapu Mandapa.
The Valekapu festival or the bangle wearing ceremony for the goddess Annamalaiyar, also known as goddess Adi Parashakti, is held here. Beside this temple, there is a hidden murti of God Shiva depicted as meditating on Mount Kailasa. Next to it is the famous tank Shiva Gangai Tirtham. Shiva Gangai Tirtham is named after the river in Kailasa, the sacred abode of God Shiva. This water is used for the holy bath of the temple deities. Near the Shiva Gangai Tirtham tank, there is a small shrine dedicated to God Ganesha known as the Shiva Gangai Vinayakar Temple. And behind this shrine is the Kalyana Sundareswarar Temple dedicated to God Shiva and Goddess Parvati. Apart from the main deities, there are several Naga Vigrahas on the left side of this temple. To the left of this temple is the first Kalyana Mandapam of this temple.
And right next to the Kalyana Mandapa, there is a beautiful mandapa which has lots of beautiful carvings.
These carvings include God Krishna, God Hanuman, God Shiva with Goddess Parvati, God Rama, God Narasimha, God Vishnu, and other intricate details. To the right side of the temple stands one of the smaller Gopuras known as Vallala Maharaja Gopuram, built by the Hoysala king Ballala between 1318 CE and 1343 CE. To the left of this Gopuram, we find the Gopura Tilainar shrine and the Arunagiri Mandapa. Inside, we can see a magnificent Vigraha of God Muruga with his consort Goddess Valli and Goddess Devasena, with Saint Arunagirinathar depicted at his feet offering prayers. In front of the temple, there is a magnificent Vigraha of Nandi Bhagwan, locally known as Periya Nandi. This Vigraha is housed in a 4-pillared mandapa on a raised platform facing the main temple. The Nandi Murti is 6 feet long and was built by Vallala Maharaja. There is a sacred ritual called Pratosha Puja which takes place during twilight. During this time, special rituals are performed on the Vigrahas of God Shiva, Goddess Parvati and the Periya Nandi Murti. Behind the Nandi Vigraha, to the right side of the Sri Kambattu Ilanganaar Murugan temple, is the amazing 1000-pillar mandapa.
This is the amazing 1000-pillar mandapa, also known as Airam Kal Mandapam.
Each pillar is in the wall is intricately engraved with various figures including divine beings, sages and sculptures from Nayak period. Here we can see illustration of each step of God Shiva's Tandava dance displayed. Inside this mandapa is the famous Patala Lingam, an underground temple. This underground shrine is well known for its connection to Sri Ramana Maharshi. In his youth, Ramana Maharshi meditated for many years in front of this lingam in this temple, which is now a revered site for his followers.
Near to this Valala Gopura, we have a secret passage to go to an amazing ancient Ganesha temple, which is called Vannimarathu Ganesha Temple. So let's go and visit this amazing temple. Come on. If you are planning to visit this temple, I would say never miss this place. This place is so peaceful and it has lots of trees here. This is called Vannimarathu Vinayakar Temple. It has a huge ancient tree with lots of deities around.
This Vanni tree is one of the oldest in Tiruvannamalai and has an interesting story. It is said that when the ancient Pallavas were retreating from this place, they buried their weapons under the tree, which were left untouched for centuries and began to look like snakes. Nearby, there are also 3 small Nagalinga shrines under different trees, 2 under peepal trees and 1 under a neem tree.
This Parikramana pathway is an amazing pathway with full of greeneries.
Now, let's head into the main temple area through the Vallala Maharaja Gopuram. After entering, on our left, we find a unique temple dedicated to God Kala Bhairava, the god of time and a fierce form of God Shiva. This Kala Bhairava Murti has 8 arms and stands about 4 feet tall. On the temple ceiling, we can see paintings of Arunachala hill, a Shiva Lingam and other forms of God Bhairava. Right next to this temple is the second sacred tank of this temple, called Brahma Tirtham. This tank was originally called Perumal Tirtham and was dug by King Venudayan in 1230 CE. There is also a nearby mandapam, the Brahma Tirtha Mandapam. Also nearby we can see the elephant blessing area of this temple. In the past there was an elephant here that would bless devotees. But unfortunately, there's no elephant now. In front of Brahma Tirtham, there are 4 small shrines dedicated to God Shiva and God Ganesha. The first is the Yanai Thiraikonda Vinayakar Temple. Next to it is the Naleshwar Temple. Following this, there is another small Ganesha temple and nearby are the Vidyadhareshwarar and Brahmalinga temples. The Brahmalinga here has 4 faces representing the elements fire, air, earth and water. Behind these temples is the Goshala of this temple complex. Here, cows are raised for temple's rituals. The milk from these cows is used for Abhisheka or ceremonial bathing of the deities. Nearby, you'll find another Nandi Murti, though it's not as large as the main Nandi. In front of this Nandi is the famous Kili Gopuram. This Gopuram has an interesting story connected to the earlier God Muruga temple we visited. After God Muruga appeared from the pillar, the king who saw this divine vision suddenly lost his eyesight. Taking advantage of this situation, Sampadantan, who was still jealous of Arunagirinath's fame, came up with a plan. He convinced the king to ask Arunagirinathar to go to Swargaloka or heaven and bring back a parijata flower, saying that the flower's nectar could restore his sight. To complete this task, Arunagirinathar moved his life force or Atma into the body of a parrot, leaving his human body safely in the temple. While he was away, Sambadandan showed the king the lifeless body and lied, saying that Arunagirinathar had died. Then he convinced the king to cremate it. When Arunagirinathar returned with the flower, he found his body had been buried. Realizing he had been tricked, the king was filled with regret, knowing Arunagirinathar could never return to his human form. But even as a parrot, Arunagirinathar didn't give up. He stayed on to Gopuram and continued his devotion, composing the famous Kandar Anubhuti and other spiritual songs. Nearby the second Nandi is the Prasadam counter of this temple, where devotees can buy Prasadam as they leave. Next to the counter is the hall called Kalayarangam, where traditional art forms and events are performed. There is also a devotional book stall nearby. In front of the counter, there is a god Muruga temple called Pichai Ilangar Temple. As we enter through the Kili Gopuram, we see a large 16-pillared mandapa called the Deepa Darshana Mandapam or Kachi Mandapam. This is where the Panchamurtis of the temple appear to give darshanam on Kartika Deepam day. From this mandapa, we get a beautiful view of Arunachala hill. Entering from the Deepa Darshana Mandapam, on our left, we find 3 sacred magir trees. Under these trees is a god Vinayaka temple and a large Shiva Lingam. During the Vasantotsavam, this linga is filled with water and flowers as part of ritual. Nearby, we can also find a rare temple dedicated to goddess Jyeshtha, also known as Moodevi. She is associated with fortune and misfortune and is considered the elder sister of goddess Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity. Goddess Jyeshtha holds a snake in her left hand, symbolizing challenges, and a leaf in her right hand, representing a connection to nature. Around these trees, there are also ancient inscriptions carved into the stones. Hanging from the tree branches are yellow cradles tied by couples hoping for a child. It's believed that tying these cradles will bless them with a child soon.
From this circle, we can see all of the 9 Gopuras. 2 are there and other Gopuras are around me. So we can see all Gopuras from this circle. It is situated near to the Magir tree.
Opposite the trees is the Madapalli or temple kitchen. And nearby is a long resting and meditation area for devotees. On the left side of the Magir tree, we see the Sampanta Vinayaka Temple. This god Ganesha temple is famous for its intricately carved pillars and roof. Inside, we see the orange-colored vigraha of god Ganesha. Nearby, we find the Dwajasthampam or golden flag post and the Balipitham of the Annamalaiyar Temple. To the left side of the Annamalaiyar Temple is a shrine dedicated to god Palani Murugan. The deity resembles is the one at the Palani Dandayudapani Swami Temple, so it's known as Palani Andava Temple. This is the Swami Tirukalyana Mandapam, where the annual marriage celebrations of god Shiva and goddess Shakti take place.
And the walls are decorated with beautiful paintings and it's so colorful, and there are lots of amazing carvings on these pillars.
Near to that, under the Arunagirinathar Mandapa, is a small shrine with a 4-pillared mandapa. Many people mistakenly believe this is the Jiva Samadhi of Saint Arunagirinathar, but it actually houses God Shiva in a yogic form.
So behind the main temple, there are sacred footprints of God Shiva here. So let's go and see that. Here we can see several temples. One is dedicated to God Vinayaka, and this is dedicated to God Shiva and Goddess Parvati. It is known as Thula Sukshmarar Temple. And the third one is Shiva Padam.
Now, let's head towards the main shrine to have darshanam of Annamalaiyar or God Shiva. As we walk inside, we can see many ancient inscriptions on the inner walls and a majestic Nandi Bhagwan Vigraha in front of the Garbhagriha or sanctum sanctorium. At the entrance of the Garbhagriha, we are greeted by the Dwarapalakas of God Shiva on both sides. Inside the Garbhagriha, we see the magnificent Agni Lingam of this temple. Many priests say they can actually feel the heat coming from the Agni Lingam, and you can really feel a powerful spiritual energy when you stand in front of it. Behind the Garbhagriha, there is a shrine dedicated to God Shiva and Goddess Shakti called Periyanayakar Sannidhi. Nearby, we see the Vigrahas of the 63 Nayanmars, a group of revered Hindu saints. There is also a god Krishna temple called Venugopala Sannidhi, and next to it a god Muruga temple as well. On the right side of the Garbhagriha, there is a passage leading to the goddess Annamalaiyar Temple, also known as the Adiparashakti Temple. In front of the Garbhagriha entrance, we can see the Dwarapalakas of goddess Adiparashakti, and next to it is the god Ganesha temple called Vijayaraghava Vinayakar Sannidhi. Since the goddess is in her Adiparashakti form here, we also find a Nandi Bhagwan Vigraha in front of her shrine. Nearby, there is a Navagraha temple dedicated to the 9 planetary gods and a small shrine for Chitragupta, who is known as a record keeper and assistant to god Yama, the god of death. Just like the Agni Lingam, the Vigraha of goddess Adiparashakti emits a strong spiritual energy. We can also see a Lingodbhava Murti of God Shiva here, along with the Vigraha of God Murugan nearby. In front of the Annamalaiyar Temple is the Kalahastishwarar Temple with a beautiful Nandiji facing the Shiva Linga inside. This temple is a replica of the original Sri Kalahasti Temple in Andhra Pradesh, which represents the element of Vayu or air as a part of the Panchabootha Stalas. Alongside, we can see replicas of other Panchabootha temples as well. There is Ekampareshwara shrine representing Bhumi or earth, the Chidampareshwara shrine representing Akasha or sky, and the Jambukeshwara shrine representing water. In front of these shrines, there is a sacred bale tree. If we look closely, we can even spot large lizards on the tree branches. Now let's visit the goddess Pidariamman shrine located opposite to the bale tree. The second day of the grand Kartika Deepam festival is dedicated to goddess Pidariamman. Inside this shrine, we find separate vigrahas of the Sapta Madrikas or 7 mother goddesses. In front of the shrine, there is a Bali Peetham and a large stone carved Trishula or trident, which is quite rare to see. This temple is truly one of the most powerful places you can visit. If you are planning a trip here, you can reach it by several routes. For those traveling by train, the nearest major railway station is Katpadi Junction, and from there you can take a local train to Tiruvannamalai railway station, which is very close to the temple. I'll add the train timings in the description. Or you can take a bus directly from the Katpadi railway station to Vellore and from Vellore to Tiruvannamalai. If you are flying, the closest airports are Chennai Airport about 180 kilometers away, and Bangalore Airport around 210 kilometers away. From there, you can take a bus or taxi to reach Tiruvannamalai. Also, I'll soon upload the videos about the lesser known ancient temples on Arunachala hill and share details about the Girivalam or Parikramana walk around the sacred Arunachala hill. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please comment Jai Shiva Shakti below, and I'll see you in the next video.